for joining this session. Thanks for your effort and time to join this webinar. So the topic for today is an idiot's guide to become a healthcare sustainability champion. So myself, Dr. Sishank, and Dr. Akshay will be moderating the session. So before we deep dive into the topic, I want to guys brief you a little bit about what ESL is trying to do here. So ESL is a student-run body managed by second-year students and first-year students in collaboration under the leadership of Piyush Kumar sir. So we try to nurture your entrepreneur skills. So how do we do it? We do it by inviting industry experts in front of you through seminars, workshops, events, webinars, and so on. So finally, we hope and promise to bring you guys a lot of informative sessions in front of you so that we all can broaden our horizon in terms of being and budding entrepreneur. So with this, I call upon Dr. Akshay to introduce the keynote speaker for the day.
Good evening, sir. I welcome you. Okay, so I invite you here to share your vast knowledge and expertise with us. But before I do that, I would like to I'd like to give a brief introduction about your achievements. Okay. So we have with us Mr. Rajarajan, who is a powerful blend of a visionary leader with a global perspective and a strong business acumen. He is associated with various ventures in India and abroad, especially in the area of multi-speciality hospitals, oncology, cardiology, and diagnostics. Currently, he's leading as the COO of MGM Healthcare, which is a JCI NABH LEED Platinum certified green hospital. He's played a key role in leadership team of Cure Health Solutions India, a US-based health tech startup. He's also been the CEO, flag bearer, P&L head for the HCG's flagship cancer center and clinics at Bangalore. So Mr. Rajarajan has completed his master's in health services management from Charles Sturt University, Australia. He also holds a MSc psychology from Madras University. He's completed his executive general management program from IIM, along with a PG diploma in medical law and ethics from NLSIU Bangalore. He's a member of American College of Healthcare Executives, life member of Consortium of Accredited Healthcare Organizations, the Research Foundation for Hospitals and Healthcare Administration, and Telemedicine Society of India. He is the Industry Advisory Council member for Nitte School of Management, Bangalore, and a visiting faculty in the Innovation and Design Thinking Department. Okay, I now welcome you, sir, to please share your expertise with us.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Let me share the screen first, and then
Yes.
we'll start. Thank you, one and all. It's a pleasure to be amongst students and some of the industry specialists. It's going to be a good 45 minutes to 1 hour of learning something what I've recently learned and added to the accolades that we all already have, and especially with MGM Healthcare. So today's topic that we're going to see is an idiot's guide in becoming a healthcare sustainability champion. As we all know that we're all here in healthcare, but understanding the sustainability goals and making organizations sustainable, not only on the environmental side of things, but also on the business side of things is very much important and relevant in today's scenarios. We are living in a VUCA world, and all these is going to add to some total. So this was already told. I am currently undergoing my PGDMLE. That was only correction there. And I'll be sharing this presentation also with you all so that you could all also have this presentation. To start with, I just need to do honors to the organization that I represent. So we are MGM Healthcare, a new age quaternary care hospital, a 400-bedded facility. Built on around a 2.5-acre campus with a 3.5 lakh square feet built up area. We're ground plus 11 floor facility with 300 car parking. What is the highlight in this is this is one of the tallest hospitals currently in the region. other things are all there for you to this thing. It's in the heart of the city as Chennai. Now, one of the things which we all know in healthcare is we have come a very, very long way, right from the days of Shushruta and Charaka Samhita to the days of, Cyberknife and Da Vinci robots and all the stuff. But what is more important is the kind of innovation that keeps happening, and off late, the kind of disruption that which is happening. You know, innovation is doing the same things a bit better, but disruption is making things that make the old things obsolete. So a lot of you know that we don't use tape recorders nowadays. And of late we don't even use CD drives and stuff. So a lot of complementary products have come in. We moved from tape recorders to storage into floppy disks to CDs, and now then later to thumb drives. I don't know whether even thumb drives are there. We now have drop boxes, V transfers, and whatnot and stuff. So this is the disruption. When a disruption happens, all things goes away. And I'm sure each one of you are going to be innovative in your job and bring in some disruptive technology in the coming days. We'll be witnessing many more in healthcare. And one such thing which I am going to do as a thought, a very disruptive thought that which I am trying to put in your mind, which is the sustainability, becoming a healthcare sustainability champion. So my eyes, I'm very new to this area of sustainability. There are some concepts in that which is actually old wine served in a new bottle, but predominantly how all these comes together, how it fits into the business scenario is something very important, and if you can all be championing the cause to the organizations wherever you join and however you would like to take it. So thanks to Frost and Sullivan and the Energy Research Institute for opening my eyes on this, and we were really lucky for their guidance, and we participated in the award, Sustainability 4.0 awards, and I'm very, very happy and proud to share that we were awarded in the Believers category. This is the first year. There are other organizations across industry who participate, and they have moved ahead in this sustainability path of theirs. We made a debut this year, becoming a believer in this category. I know a lot of people who would immediately relate to the song Believer. That's what even is going in my head. So to start with, being a believer, I would want to strongly give you a glimpse of how do you all become a healthcare sustainability champion, or how do you champion the cause for the organization that where you're joining. There are very many topics that could have been done, but then off late I've been covering many of these topics, be it design thinking or innovations, or say technology transformation, digital transformation. I thought, let me touch upon a topic which probably many have not yet heard. And so that's why this Idiot's Guide. Okay, the very simple thing of how we start this is from the Sustainability Development Goals of the United Nations. So we call that the famous SDGs of the United Nations. They have laid it out. And in fact, if you go into the website of United Nations, you will have so much of information on each of this. And as healthcare, employees or flag bearers or leaders or the partners in healthcare, so somewhere healthcare teams also have to make a start. Somewhere we needed to be starting this environmental consciousness. Do you all know that in the last 2 years, one of the highest contributor to the pollution is also healthcare, with all the masks and single-use devices. That's the world we live in. So it's important for every healthcare organization to make amends, to see how we become carbon footprint, zero or even take up any of these sustainability development goals, and how do you interpret it with your organization, and how do you champion it with your teams? So that is something which is very, very important as we talk. So now that we've laid out what is the sustainability all about, the sustainability development goals of United Nations, let us look at how or where you need to start with healthcare sustainability championing in your organization. First thing is the industry analysis. This is very, very common. As I said, it's an old wine in a new bottle. Okay. So we all know, as part of our healthcare management academics, or even much before, or even individual personality development, we have been taught about SWOT. So, and I'm sure your marketing professors or your strategic management professors would have done enough justice to SWOT. So, SWOT is one of the important areas. Where do you start with? What are your strengths, weakness, opportunities, and threat to your organization? You need to understand where is your organization in compared to your competitors. So another important framework that which we would talk about is the industry analysis of PESIL, the political, economical, social, technological, environmental, legal. It is important to understand which will impact your organization. Okay, which of the goals, say for example, if I need to do a mega camp and I'm setting this camp, say in near on a lakeside and stuff, and then the legal framework would come in, or the environmental framework would come in, that I should not be polluting that place and all this stuff. These are just examples. So, but again, as a business house, how do we conduct business? What kind of a political scenario in which we are conducting? How do we make it sustainable? How do we mitigate the risk which are there? For instance, when we have been dealing with COVID-like scenarios, every hospital revenue as such dipped to the gallons in the first COVID wave. It took us about 3 or 4 months to get out and understand how to treat COVID. When we all started the first lockdown somewhere in March 2020. Sorry to take you back to the worst times of our lives, maybe. But yeah, when we started first 3 months, nobody knew how to treat this virus. We didn't have a clue. We were lighting lamp, banging plates, and talking about the strains, talking about whether there would be a vaccine, talking about various drugs which could act against this coronavirus, and half the drugs which were initially started with later in the clinical trial study or the various other studies have proved not to be vital for treating COVID. So these are all some things we had mitigated over time by understanding. By understanding the chemokinetics of how these drugs work against the disease, by understanding more into the gene sequencing of the COVID virus, and much more. So we have been able to mitigate the risk which is the coronavirus to a greater extent. The battle is still on, folks, and wear your mask when you're out. So to champion this cause, so you start with a SWOT, you get into a PESIL, you need to understand what are your drivers, what will enable you. Though I put all these things to you, I would also take up some of the things specifics which we did as MGM Healthcare to get on to that believers category. And there is still a larger, bigger role for us to do it. And I will tell where we also have started now, so that in this journey we would progress from here on and stuff. So for any sustainable organization, we need to maximize the use of available resources than look at resources which are not available to us. Cost reduction is a very important thing. When I keep telling my teams, in whichever organization I've been, one of the things which we have been championing in all these organizations is a cost reduction and elimination of wastage. This thing, We all know the acronym Simon Says, the various types of waste, the Moda Muri, and the various other things which has been taught by the Toyota production systems, which you would have seen in total quality management. But at the end of it, how do we utilize all those inherent knowledge that we have acquired over the years into applicable actions in the organization, into implementable goals in the organization? We'll get to that as well. So the sustainability stewardship is going to be a very important driver. You need to have champions in the organization. You need to have teams which strongly believe in it, should support you. Some of the enablers, of late, I'm seeing a lot of organizations moving to it. Renewable sources of energy. When the year started and by the time we are completing the year, my budget for fuel has already overshot by 30%. Why is it? Because there has been an increase in diesel generator, diesel fuel cost, which has in a way increased my budget spent towards that. So with respect to various smart architecture, how do we design a place to maximize the utilization? How do we really enable max usage of space? What is the kind of matrix arrangement that I need to have the space? Which departments have to be this thing? Okay, there were various studies. There's one famous study by Mayo where they say that an average nurse walks so many kilometers in a day. And in fact, in the 60s and 70s, when Mayo was building their new units and all the stuff, they actually did the line diagram with all those woolen thread and pinpoints to see where these nurses are walking, which department they're going to, which rooms they're going to, and calculate the average distance of it. And it was like a very, very huge, it's back then you don't have all the pedometers to tell you how many steps you've taken. But yeah, so all this became an important thing because you have to use your resource rightly. So you don't have to tire them out by making them walk long and stuff. So in interesting hospitals, you need to see that the nurse stations are placed in such a way that this is reduced and stuff. The span of control is another thing that we are looking at. So a lot of these things have evolved. Smart architecture, along with the combination of real-time location systems and IoTs and all the stuff, has made a tremendous difference in the way healthcare is delivered now compared to 10 or 15 years back. The very latest of technologies, say for example, we've been piloting this technology for quota management, where it is an automatic allocation. At any point of time, the nearest resource who is idle is called upon. We don't need to keep a desk person and this thing. You would have many of you would have visited many of the places. We are now visitor management is completely online. We also have the very famous app by our government to actually keep track of contact tracing and all those stuff. So many things have been as enablers for various organizations are embarking on this journey to use it and stuff. Drivers, we talked about maximizing the use of available resources. But in enablers, we also talk about trying to overall reduce the usage of sources, optimization. So this is where you need to read it as optimization. And that's what we will be talking about in our coming slides as well. The community social responsibility is another big thing. And we will also talk about it when it comes to the metrics associated with it. So there was one interesting thing that which I came across when we started this. So that which is the materiality matrix. So materiality matrix is nothing but it helps organization to decide on the sustainability issues to focus and which I need to invest time on. Okay. So for example, this is a very generic hospital or healthcare based materiality matrix, which I have showcased over here. So why is this important? There are two important scales we have taken over here. One is the impact on the business and the other is the impact on the stakeholder. Now, if you look at something like a medical care and outcomes, now impact on business and impact on stakeholder is the highest for a hospital. Okay, so that way it would be in a very high this thing. So like that, each of the item which are important to the hospital or important to the organization, we place them in this scale to find out how is the the expected influence this issue will have on the organization success, or all the attractiveness of the issue to the stakeholders, and based on that how it will have an impact on the business success. So this is a very, very important and new thing that I learned. And now when we look through the lens of a materiality matrix, when it comes to problems, this is your prioritization scale for young budding healthcare managers out there. So when you look at the problems that we have, if you can see what impact it is going to have on the business and what impact it is going to have, what is the kind of attractiveness to the stakeholder, you would be able to understand which are the ones you would like to do it more importantly than the other. So that is something. Another important thing, which I've been knowing this for some time, but in different context, I didn't know that we could do it in a healthcare setting, okay, which is called as a responsible sourcing. When I've spoken in other institutions, I've talked about this a lot. I've had even students interning specifically for this responsible sourcing. Through one of the student only, we had developed this responsible sourcing matrix. We understood what is important as a sustainability champion for an organization. It's not important if you do that in your organization. It is also important that you do businesses only with those organizations which are complying to the responsible source. For instance, to tell you in an easy way, the definition is there for you to see: a voluntary commitment by companies to take into account social and environmental considerations. You're all IIHMR students from Bangalore. You know about Mysore, which is 2-3 hours from Bangalore. I'm now from Chennai, another 2-3 hours from here. We have Kanchipuram. What is common between Mysore and Kanchipuram? Anybody?
Silk.
Silk, yeah. So silk as a raw product, how is it done? The process is called as sericulture. Now, in a responsible sourcing, we have got into something called as Ahimsa Pattu, the Ahimsa silk, the non-violent silk, where when the sericulture process is done without killing those silkworms. Okay, it is a way of responsible sourcing. We know shops like Body Shop, the Cotton Factory, and various other companies, wherein in our malls and various other places, none of our products are animal tested. None of our this thing is so various many things. How they have sourced their products, how they have researched on the product, how they have brought it into the thing. In one of the European countries, we all buy toothpaste, right? So toothpaste, we use the tube where the toothpaste is stored. What is the use of the outer carton box? None of us know that. The outer carton box is an environmental waste. How many of you have saved or stored the outer carton box? So there are, international organizations, many of the vendors who are supplying toothpaste in our country as well, who have gone into only tubing of it and stuff, wherein only the tube is sold in supermarkets or your kirana shops and stuff. So that way they've become environmental conscious. So at a larger level, for an organization which is embarking on a journey towards sustainability, it is up to us to educate the vendors that we work with. Okay, so we would have studied in various case studies how there are big organizations, and around that there are smaller thriving organizations, how we shift our inventory holding to them, how we bring in business efficiencies. I know all these would have been told, how we have brought in the vendor management inventories or the consignment items as we commonly do in healthcare, this thing. So all this, when it is happening, we have educated our vendors, and the vendors are all thriving because of the larger business houses as healthcare hospitals or various other healthcare institutions. Now, it is important for us also to know whether, as a voluntary disclosure from our vendors, whether their business is conducted lawfully and with integrity, whether it is freely agreed, the work over there is freely agreed and documented terms of employment. They're complying with that. Equal treatment of all the workers and respect and dignity that which is provided. Work is conducted on a voluntary basis, not like how pyramids were built in Egypt, or at least how it was shown to us. All workers are of an appropriate age. All workers are paid fair wages. Working hours for all workers are reasonable. All workers are free to exercise the right to form and or join trade unions, or to refrain from doing so, and bargain. Collective bargaining. Collective bargaining, you all know collective bargaining, right? There are a lot of this new age thing coming in healthcare also, especially in the areas of supply chain management. You have organizations like, say, a Medica Bazaar, or even a StratMed or an AcnaMed, who do all these group purchasing, GPOs, they call themselves. So, that's basically the collective bargaining. I think earlier there were apps also, apps like Foursquare and like, it's now all changed, where you need to, 100 people, if they buy together, you will get a particular shoe for 1,999. If you individually buy it, it is about 3,000 rupees. So that's all part of that. But yeah, so you should allow workers' health and safety are protected at work. All workers have access to fair procedures and remedies. Land rights of communities, including indigenous people, migrant, will be protected and promoted. Business is connected in a manner which embraces sustainability and reduces environmental impact. So all these needs to be managed by larger organizations. So we take a voluntary disclosure of this from our vendors, and then only we get we engage in business from them and stuff. So this is part of our vendor rating now, and we get it by them, and then only we use it. We are all used to this old adage of reduce, reuse, and recycle. Now the new thing which has also got added is recover. So nowadays we see a lot of organizations having recycling units, and they're recycling hospital waste, especially the food waste and all, how it can be turned into agricultural manure, the plastic waste, the reusable policy. A lot many things are being done from an environmental conscious way. Say, for instance, there are still a lot of things which we can benchmark from very good industries. Say, some of you would have not gone for a vacation in the last 2 years, but many of you would have gone for a vacation some point of time or the other in your life. Always see that in very good hotels. We are an environmental conscious organization. Please put your towel for wash only if it is soiled or if you want a change. So all those things were, please turn off the shower. The two-button system in our closets for water flushing. All these are phenomenal. This thing, even the water sprayer, that which is an attachment to all our taps, and this thing, which will give high pressure jets of streams of water instead of the water flow. This thing, which is more effective in washing with less usage of water. So many things that which are there, which we can do. So at the end of it, when it comes to sustainability journey, there are a lot of metrics which needs to be borne in mind, which would contribute to the overall thing. What is the revenue contribution that you're getting from your repeat customers? Very important metric for an organization. Okay, is my last year customer coming back to me? If somebody is doing a health check with me every year in April, Next April, are they coming or have I lost them out? Is somebody who has started on a dialysis and last 6 months is taking dialysis with me? What has happened? Suddenly they have not come. Why is there a dropout of it? Okay, there are so many things that which needs to be seen. Why is this an important thing? Is this repeat customers is something which they are your brand loyal customers. So this gives you a brand loyalty. This is a business sustainability goal that which organizations need to track. Share of total energy consumption coming from renewable energy sources. Today, organizations can do in many of the states, they have passed the law and you can do a power purchase agreement. A power purchase agreement, you don't have to worry about it. There are even interim brokers who will do the thing for you, established brokers. I'm not talking about a third party man who is going to do it, but these are established companies, say somebody like a Schneider and stuff, who deal with these kind of things, wherein they have a checklist of what needs to be seen in somebody who is trying to sell a trying to sell some power to you. So they have a matrix of 28 or 30 items to be checked, and based on that, they will engage the organization with the producer of the power. This power could be produced as a windmill or a certain other, hydraulic energy and stuff, and directly supplied to the government grid. So in Karnataka, the BESCOM grid would be supplied to the BESCOM grid. In Tamil Nadu, it will be the Tamil Nadu Electricity Board. Not all states have passed this, but I really wish that every state in the country should actually allow power purchase. So what happens for organization also? We are using non-renewable source of power. Renewable source of power than non-renewable. And also, I have a huge saving in the spend as an expenditure. So it's a double positive help for the organization. So when it is a double positive, it is a no-brainer than to take it. So normally, if hospital's power is at 8 rupees or 9 rupees, based on the grid and structure, scale, and all that, we would be able to procure power at about 5 rupees and 6 rupees through this. So per unit, you can save 2 or 3 rupees, which would work out to huge. Hospitals, a general hospital, like a huge 200, 300, 400 bed hospital, the electricity bill per month runs into lakhs and lakhs, 15 to 20 lakhs in cities like Bangalore, Chennai, and certain other metropolitan cities. So this could be reduced by about 40 to 50%, and you're getting renewable. It is a no-brainer. Okay. So the customer complaint resolution time, at the end of it, it's the people, your customers. So what is it? What is a TAT for every customer who raises a complaint? What is a TAT? So today you raise a complaint in any of your telecom service provider, you get a service ID. And once your service, they take this thing. These are industry best practices. These are benchmarks. But very few healthcare organizations do that. Okay, say for example, a customer has requested for a detailed bill post-discharge and has sent a mail. It would take us even 3 days, 4 days to send it. The customer has requested for refund. It would take time to process that and all the stuff. So now if somebody puts it all into an automated thing, the whole agile framework, we talk of tools in the IT industry called Jira and various other things. These are all those ticketing based things. You have various companies who do this ticketing. Zendesk, various CRM related things also who do this ticketing. So Freshdesk and so many other players. So how do we harness all this into the IT framework? We'll see those in the interesting coming slides. So the per capita water consumption, the total greenhouse gas emission. There is a lot of gas emission in the hospital, so which would deplete the ozone layer. This hospital, since we are a green building, we don't even have a ETCO2. We don't do that kind of this thing over here. So a lot of those, how do we get those in control? What is the quantity of the e-waste generated? E-waste are all those which are all your laptops, your mouse, your mobiles, to your batteries. These are all e-waste. It should not be mixed with the normal waste. So the e-waste has a separate register to be maintained. There should be a separate room, and once in every 6 months, you have to file the returns with the government. There's so many rules on that, but people don't understand that. So these are all important metrics that matters. Policy on equal opportunity, anti-harassment, non-discrimination. We all know about the Vishaka this thing and the posh committees which are there in this thing. So very many things like that. The average employee training hours, a very good thumb rule which every organization is to keep. Earlier in the when I started my career, there was a thing that every employee should go for 40 hours of training by a very famous hospital chain, the most famous hospital chain in the country, where I was working. But nowadays, it's all very, very dynamic. It has all moved into learning management system, the Moodle-based systems, very interactive question-based answer systems and stuff. So the overall employee satisfaction score. So what is the employee organizational climate survey states? As a healthcare administrator, it's a very important tool for me. We do bifurcate that with all our employees and with all our clinicians as two separate things. But it's a very, very important metrics for us to understand. The employee attrition rate, the gender diversity ratios, the employee absenteeism rates, all this as are important metrics. I'm sure many of this, your HR management professors would have covered it. But then from the sustainability, it is very important to know where it all adds up to the sum total. Policy to ensure that patient is adequately informed about the service and the price. Very, very important tool. How much of communication we do with the patient. If I am going to do a particular surgery to the patient, do I tell them if it is a price assured surgery or a package that which we are going to do, like a CABG or something? Do I tell them that this is what would be the cost? And if there are complications, it can go up by 10, 15, 20%, whatever it is. The overall patient satisfaction score. We saw the employee satisfaction, but as much as important as the patient satisfaction score. And in the patient satisfaction score, we have come a very, very long way. Gone are the days when we do paper pencil tests. Then came the net promoter score systems. And now even in net promoter score system, we have moved with the NPS into patient-related experience measures and patient-reported outcome measures. So these are all major transformations which has happened in healthcare, and getting all those things, the repeat customer base for inpatient and outpatient. Earlier we saw the revenue, now the volume and stuff. Drugs and consumer procured from local purchase. That is where you have gone stock out, where you had to, go and get that particular item, purchase it, and continue your this thing. Share of total water consumption contributed from recycling and reuse. This is a very important metric. So, 40 to 60% of the utilization of water in an institution can be from the recycled use. So that is important metrics to look at, constantly keep an eye on, and set targets for your teams in the hospital who are responsible for that. The biomedical waste generated, the food waste generated. A lot of hospitals, especially those who have NABH accreditation, are mandated to put this on record in the website. Many of them do it, some don't do maybe. But yeah, it's a very important tool to know that it has to be done. So when we started our journey, I'm pretty quick on these slides because we have next 15 minutes for the remaining slides. So when we started implementing sustainability, we started making very, very conscious choices. So our journey in this, though it has started, we are just a 3-year-old organization, but the path that we have traveled, the learning curve that we have got has been tremendous, actually. So one of the key things I would like to highlight with MGM Healthcare is the usage of those design thinking concepts, which was this thing. One of the promoters, I met him in 2017 as a chance meeting, and he was the one who introduced me to this design thinking concept. And 3, 4 years later, I'm sitting in the same organization. And I have also taught one entire semester about design thinking for a particular healthcare management school here in Chennai. So that's been the way how design thinking is being focused upon by even service industries in the last few years. So the building design is something which has taken into these nitty-gritties, these eye for detailing and stuff for the design thinking area. There is a certified fire resistant wood. These are all part of the NBC, National Building Code as well. You need to have a 2R fire resistant wood, that which would reduce impact of fire related thing. The viridescent garden, whenever you are stressed out at work, my office is a very open office. I work out of a circular table, but still, even if I am bored out of my office, I take and I sit at atrium, which you will be seeing, where we have this entire green illuminated garden with a lot of fresh plants and for all those who are petrichor, those who love the pluviophiles and stuff, those who love the smell of after the rain, the petrichor and pluviophile are the people who love rain. So that smell which comes with the water touching the soil, that's what is there in that place. It's such a stress buster and stuff. The crew initiatives we have talked about, the rainwater harvesting system, the treated and reuse on site, the STP, the sewage treatment plant, the environmental conscious thing. We treat our sewage and then only we send it out. The multi-level hydraulic car parking, more car per car. That was, I think, Tata Indica's say. But yeah, we are able to park more car in place where one car could be parked by using a multi-level hydraulic car parking and stuff. The solar panels that which we have through which we generate all these renewable energy sources, recycled material used for construction, low emitting paints, adhesive sealants and coating use. You can look at, you can Google about VOCs and stuff. Very interesting thing, as healthcare people, if we all get into all these things, beautiful knowledge you will get, which you could easily take it to implementation. Floor to ceiling glass windows for natural lighting during the day. I'll just show you this, that viridescent garden that we are talking about, that we have in the atrium. We sit across, we do all our meetings and programs, or sometimes even our office work from these places. So it definitely gives a very good positive vibe, and it's fantastic. If you get a chance to come to MGM, this is one place which I would like to take you to. Stuff. So some more pictures of the Viridescent garden. This is where we all sit and work when we get bored with our regular offices and stuff. We do have a lot of programs and stuff. If you come tomorrow, this place would be filled with about 100 plus cardiothoracic surgeons across the country as we host the ECMO conference, extracorporeal membrane oxygen conference of the country tomorrow and day after at MGM Healthcare. This is a ceiling to floor glass windows. This is just right outside my office. So, there's beautiful sunset. There's this entire, this thing. These are all new age building for natural lighting. This whole thing, the multi-level car parking that we brought, the healthy work environment, healing architecture. So this is the park that we have created in the OSR land inside our hospital. So many of our patient attendants go and chill out in these places and stuff. Also because we have a very strict entry and visitor policy as well. There are a lot of other things that which we also do. There are a lot of initiatives which are undertaken by the organization to enhance employee well-being. Be it every organization would have the employee insurance. There could be town hall meetings. There is an organization climate survey. There is a funeral expenses policy. There is a paternal. We all know the maternal benefit acts by the government, but we as new age companies have the paternal benefit act also, or the paternal management policy. So many things that wherein we can reach out to this thing. also started a process during the COVID waves called HRU. How are you? That's the common term we put in all the WhatsApp and all those, even before in AOL chatting and Yahoo chatting and MSN chatting, Google chatting, long, long time ago. Yeah, it looks like it's more than decades we're talking about all those. So that HRU is HR and you. So we reached out to all our employees, and we saw to that their mental health being under the COVID waves are functioning much better. They get that space, they get that thing, because healthcare was one stressed working place, and even so today, still the COVID wave is not out. Yeah, but we see much lesser patients. The various key projects that which are undertaken by the organization to reduce its environmental footprint, very, very important thing. I am a non-vegetarian, but yeah, by being a vegetarian, you can reduce the carbon footprint, because of all the slaughterhouses and all the stuff. I do walk to my work. I don't use a vehicle and come. And if possible, I also do use community shared vehicles, public transports, metros when I was in Bangalore for about four plus years. So all these are some things, which we already know from an organizational point of view also. We do that. We have employee bus pickups. We do the refrigeration management systems. How do we reduce or nil utilize, make it zero carbon footprint and stuff with respect to the greenhouse gases and all this stuff. So these are some things you need to ponder upon when you're championing the cause for your organization. The most important thing, your sustainability journey is important with the goal setting. Now, the goals have to be on the SMART framework, which have to be specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and time-based. So there's a lot of stakeholder communication measures, what you're going to talk to your shareholders, what you're going to talk to your board, what you're going to talk to your stakeholders, what are you daily communicating to your patients, your customers, your attendance of the patients, your doctors, your visiting doctors, your community corporates, your employees, your the apartment outside your the near neighborhood smaller hospital. How do you engage with all of them? What kind of engagement? How do you engage with the PR agencies, the media houses, the social media, the newspapers, TV houses? So many things, nowadays you see live streaming. This particular program is also being live streamed, so many things. So how do you communicate that? When this program was planned, there was a circular, a nice design which was shared across in LinkedIn. That is the way of IIHMR, the eCell initiative, to take it to the public, take it to the community, take it to the stakeholders. That's the communication management metrics that we're talking about. A lot of benchmarking can be done. One of the things is the global reporting initiative guideline. This is something which we are also about to embark, and I would be able to talk about it in the coming days. For those who have individual interests, who can keep in touch with me. There are various other UN development program, DGSI, NVG, CDP. You can Google about it. There are a lot of items out there in the internet. You can ask Dr. Google, Professor Google. He will help you with those. So competitor mapping is another important area with respect to sustainability framework. So it is important to identify the competitor, understand the market intelligence. How do you benchmark your objectives, and how do you mitigate the strategies against them? And how do you constantly rapid prototyping and constantly implement this change? Your plan, do, check, act cycle and stuff. So we leverage sustainability as a brand and reputation enhancement. So how do we do that? It has to be championed. It has to bring in ethical framework. You need to be environmentally conscious. You need to be responsible. You have to attract customer. That's when business happens. And also customers who strongly value sustainability. We also make our patients and customer feel like a part of cause movement by choosing the ethereal way to do things in our healthcare. So it's not a one-time affair. It is what we do as a practice. It's what we do day in and day out. So this would definitely increase the demand from the customer point of view, patient point of view, to organization who is very conscious about all this. So when we set out at MGM, we combined these when of technology, facility, ambience, and personnel to create something which is very, very unique. We utilized a lot of smart hospital framework, which helped in our environmental journey. The kind of building management system and environmental management systems that we have to reduce our power consumption, to do the auto power changeover, to do the fire alarm systems, whatever it may be, to reduce energy consumption. Phenomenal. One of the high points was with respect to ASHRAE guidelines. ASHRAE guidelines is a very important guideline. If you have not known about it or not introduced about it, you can look at ASHRAE, all capital. It's an American standard one for all the HVAC systems, which is your major power drainer in any hospital and stuff. So it has various things about how the air circulation has to happen, how the air conditioning needs to happen. And, generally we all say that 18 to 22 degrees, our OTs and all maintain at 16, 17 degrees, because our doctors are all now suited with all those PPE and also operating. So, but anyway, how do we, by changing 18 to 19 degree temperature, you are contributing to the environment. Okay, nowadays even equipment have changed the specification 18 to 22 to up to 24 or 25 also. It's all there in the very recent ASHRAE guidelines. You can check about it. We had a very good, very positive discussion on this during our certification process as well. The various way, the chatbot ways of communicating with patients, the communication standards have improved. The engagements, there are umpteen tools now. We as MGM, we have partnered with organizations, say somebody like a day-to-day healthcare services, somebody like Cure Health, somebody like a lot many of them who we are assessing to do the patient engagement in our behalf. Somebody like Atulya, Assisted Life for the home nursing, Portia, One Life. So this is where we are talking about the partnerships coming in. The workforce management, I did talk about the porter management, the asset management with all the real-time location services. So if I want to know where is my nearest ultrasound that which I can use, so I would be able to track my asset through RTLS and stuff. So the ERP systems, the HIS, EMR, and the PACS systems, EMR implementation is going on. There is resistance from different people. I wouldn't say it is only clinical. We need to make it friendly. We need to collaborate on these projects to make it So there is a lot of digital transformation which could effectively help in even championing the cause. So with this, we are coming to the very end of it. So this is one more hospital of ours which we have announced, and we are looking forward to opening in the coming financial year. And that's a cancer institute that we have. And this, my friends, is MGM Healthcare, glorious standing over there. We really would like to do more and better. And with my one of my very favorite quote, I would like to conclude by saying that never doubt that a small group of thoughtful, committed citizens can change the world. Indeed, it's the only thing that ever has. If Gandhiji had not believed in non-violence, we wouldn't have been seated right here, right today, and talking about an independent India and talking about the idiot's guide to becoming a healthcare sustainability champion. Thank you, IIHMR Bangalore. Thank you, faculty members. Thank you, students, and thank you, industry guests who had joined today's session. Rajarajan signing off.
Thank you, sir. That was actually really informative in terms of sustainability, which we've been listening over a period of time. Also, you've spiked our interest in, like the CSR activities and other sustainable goals we should look forward to, or like, make a effort to understand. And this ASHRAE guidelines, like you said, I think most of us will go back and look, Google into it. So I think it was really informative, and we have participants who might have asked, might have questions to ask you. So can we move forward with the discussion and a Q&A round?
Sure, we can.
So I request the participants to raise their hand virtually, and when called upon, you can ask your questions with Mr. Rajaraj. Yeah, Parul Dikshit, Dr. Parul Dikshit has a question.
Please go ahead.
And please ask a question.
Yes, sir. Good evening, sir. Sir, my question is that, like, for reducing the environmental load, like that we are using like the paper. So plastics, since from plastic we shifted to the papers, but I think that paper uses is also creating an effect on the environment. Like formation of the paper lead to sulfur dioxide and the nitrogen oxide release in the environment, and that affect a lot, sir. And we cannot use the cloth for everything. And in the hospital also, like whatever we are using, the PPE and the mask, that is made up of polyester blend and polypropylene. So like if we go for the linen also, it's not impossible for the small hospital to go for that, because the linen is laundry work is lot in that, and hygiene maintenance is also very difficult. So it's like in the pandemic, everyone is going for that disposable kits. So like, how can we reduce that? Is there any suggestion from your side, sir?
See, the very simple thing is about sustainability is we all becoming conscious about it. That's where it starts. Okay, that's what I even told about Margaret Mead, my favorite anthropologist. You should read about Margaret Mead also. The very important thing is the change begins with us. So it could be as simple as what kind of a mask that we are using in this thing. How many of us know that an N95 mask can be reused for a certain period of days?
Sir,
Okay.
I can I say something?
Hello?
So, like the people who are using the disposable mask, they're using for a long time, and that lead to the black fungus, as we have seen the cases because of that hygiene practice. So here, like, it's not possible to maintain these things. No, so sir, for that, what is your suggestion, sir? Like,
See, we can replace things. Okay, so that's what I'm saying. It has to start with each of us. So there are a lot of items that we use in healthcare which can be reused in a certain other way. For example, even a soiled linen which cannot be, a bed sheet which cannot be used again, we actually cut it and make it into draw sheets. 2 days back, one of the international patient had asked for a pajama on a very urgent basis because the luggage got in transit or something. We were able to stitch and sew a dress from the hospital linen material that we have, the clean linen material that we have, and provide, bringing in customer delight. So there are very many ways of replacing items. There are, say, for example, there are disposable items that which we can use. The very important thing, from those disposable items, how many we can substitute with reusable items. So this is very important thing. How do we use items where infection, you can flash sterilize, and you can do autoclaving, and you can reuse and stuff. So this has to be consciously coming from us. The CSSD department is one such department which could give the Central Sterile Supplies Department in a hospital, which could give a lot many information on that. See, we as Indians, we live in what is called as a frugal economy. Say the big companies, your Philips, your GE, your Siemens, the kind of equipment that they provide and the specification that they have in the Western world and the kind of equipment that they have in our country is different. Many of these people have started shop in our country to provide to our requirement. And there are very many interesting pieces of if India would not have produced that vaccine, the Covaxin and the Covishield, the world would have not yet seen out of the COVID wave one itself because of the fact that the world's largest vaccine production facility is our Serum Institute. And today, India is also known, even before this COVID vaccine and all those stuff, is already known as the vaccine capital of the world. How many of you as healthcare students know about it? You know, we produce almost close to 70-80% of the vaccines across the world in India. You know, your MMR, measles, mumps, vaccine, all those things which are going to, probably the entire African region is from India because our production cost and all this is this thing, like probably how Bangladesh is clothing the world, India is vaccinating the world. There are examples, of our neighboring city also between Chennai and Bangalore, Tirupur, which is also clothing world. But yeah, so environmental consciousness with respect to use of these items needs to come with each of us. What we are consuming for doing our healthcare related duties. Is it absolute necessary for me to wear a mask now when I am discussing with you or for getting into a meeting, into a digital meeting? No, not required. Okay, I don't have to take an N95 and put it. I have enough supplies of N95s. I have enough supplies in my bag. So where I need to use it, I also have cloth mask in my bag. So where I need to use it, how I need to use it, it is all coming from the individual.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
So there is this thing about, like, I've been seeing ads and all where it says, like, going towards neutrality, carbon neutrality, actually. So could you just like elaborate on like what are the steps or what can be done to actually achieve this, and if at all it's even possible to have a net zero?
There are countries which have achieved carbon neutrality. Okay. There are countries which rank very high in happiness index and stuff. There are countries which are striving towards that as well. The important thing for us to understand in carbon footprint is there are enough tools online where you can check your own carbon footprint score. It would eventually tell you for your output how much of earth is required and stuff. So very interesting tools are there online. It as I said, it depends upon what kind of products you use, what kind of food you eat, what kind of what transport you take. So many things into account, about 7 to 8 spectrums and stuff. So you can take. I would urge you all to definitely take that carbon footprint self-assessment questionnaire, which would give you, in that itself it will come which are the areas. When you see that itself, you will know. You can play around with it. If I answer this, my this thing is this. We used to do now ABCD. We will first remove two answers MCQs may. That's how we have been taught in CAT and GMAT and all, right? So two answers would be very diverse, move it out. Two answers would be closely linked. So like that. So when you take this questionnaire, you will understand what are the measures you need to take. Carbon footprint is reduced even with better exercising, by planting trees, by rainwater harvesting, so many things. There is see, each of these tools use different sets of it. So don't blame me if you go back and take something and where they've not talked about all these and stuff. But yeah, So I urge you all to take the carbon footprint test and take a self-assessment of how much you are contributing to the environment. Now, again, all these on the sustainability level is with respect to the environmental side, but also reducing carbon emissions also reduces the ice caps melting. I'm sure you all have seen the Al Gore's documentary. Much talked about Al Gore's documentary and stuff. So please do see that if you're not, or at least the TEDx talk of his. If you get hold of it, if you just have 15-20 minutes and don't want to sit through the documentary, wonderful things that you would know from the environment aspect. But as the business aspect also, when these carbon footprint is increasing, when in a particular area, when I'm planning, when a lot of people are going to work, there is going to be a higher heat that which is generated. Now, accordingly, say it's very important of the engineers or the facility planners to know the load in this room. Okay, in my open seating area, if there are 24 people to be seated, they would even calculate the normal breathing and hyperventilated. When you're hyperventilated or when you're tense, you actually the heat increases. That's why when somebody is angry, why do people say, please have a water, please sit? Okay, conflict resolution we are talking about. So it cools you down instantly. When you are standing, when you're pumping your lungs out, adrenaline rushes and this thing. So they calculate all this and then only plan the air conditioning and stuff. That's a very good. When you read Ashtray, you will know more. Uh, phenomenal things are there, and at the end of it, it is always the individual. So that's why I'm saying, go back, understand your carbon footprint. It will help the nation, help the environment, help the world. Plant some trees also.
Yes, sir, definitely. So I have another question, like since we are talking about sustainability and everything, is how do we, do we look at opportunities for startups in the sustainability health space as such? Like you're talking about MGM currently. So in terms of startups, what are we looking the opportunity?
There are very many startups which are championing the green energy band, which are championing the automations and rapid process automations, especially, and the various IoTs and stuff. There are sensors even in our own apartment complexes that we live in. There are sensors to tell us that the tank is full. There are sensors now in hospitals to tell us how to manage all this optimally. The BMS is a wonderful tool. So there are very many startups which are coming into this, which are providing alternate energy to hospitals, which are providing this, bringing this BMS concepts, which are providing, increased rate of STPs. I've even met with companies who provide environmental friendly bedpans, and you have the thing which is shredded into pieces. It is made out of the recycled paper and stuff. So the entire thing could be taken into another level. When you look at sustainability, again, let me tell you one thing. Sustainability is just not all about the environment as such. It also is about the business sustainability. It is also about how do you keep the people intact in your organization. So the sustainability that which we are talking about, healthcare sustainability, is beyond environment. It is at every level. It is about increasing your profitability. It's about reducing your resource utilization. So in all aspects, that's why I want you to all to become the champion. So you would be a well-rounded person when you're becoming a healthcare sustainability champion. So if any of you would have gone into any of the NABH accredited hospitals or this thing, you would have heard of something called as a quality improvement projects. Okay. So one of the things where the quality improvement project stops with in many organizations are, okay, this is a project, this is what we did, this is what we achieved. Okay. After that, when you ask them for the sustenance plan, okay, so the sustenance is something which has to come in. Even in 5S, when we talk about sustenance is important. So everywhere sustenance, the sustainability as in the context here, I'm again correcting sustenance of the business, sustenance of the environment. It's about the people, it's about the planet, it's about the partnership that we forge and the environment also.
Okay, so I have a question, sir. So I wanted to know, like, how open are organizations and CEOs and COOs like you to embrace this sustainability, not just healthcare, like other organizations.
See, in general, every organization would be open for this, but they don't know where to start. But today, after having gone through this thing, these are all some of the start points which I have done. Okay, you guys with when you look into GRI, CNDP, all those things, you could even further your journey on sustainability. The sustainable goals, that 17 goals of United Nations. If you relate with each of the goals with your organization or with your academic institution itself, you would know. Say, for example, the government a few years back, or almost 5, 10 years back, it had always been there, but nobody had championed the cause. There were some NGOs which came up and did that thing. And there is this very famous movie also which was made with Irfan Khan about how he was taking his daughter to school, a particular school, and he will go into that quota and stuff. So these are all about, it was always existing. People do not know. So we need to champion the cause on communicating to the thing. Institutions are aware of it. They follow it in some or the other way. For example, this attrition rate, this absenteeism rate. For example, in your own class, you will take attendance. No? Today, Professor Piyush should be thinking, okay, all my hospital management students have come, or who and all have not come. Probably one of you have been assigned the task to check who and all has attended and not attended and stuff. So the attendance is an absenteeism metric. So we are ingrained this in our institutions right from childhood. Some of my institution were so intelligent that after every day's attendance, they put a sellotape on top of it, so nobody can mark us as present. So that important it is. So it's all there. It's ingrained. Every organization knows how to be sustainable, but to build a matrix, to get that framework right, and to align all the pieces together, it requires a healthcare champion. And I believe I would have created some 50 plus healthcare champions. I think 4 have left, 48 healthcare champions. Okay. Yeah.
So I think we have a question from Meghna. Meghna, you can
Yeah.
unmute and ask.
Yes, good evening, sir. So my question is, are there any drawbacks when it comes to responsible sourcing, like higher costs or training or communicating with the vendors?
Yeah. So responsible sourcing, as I said, is a very important metrics in your journey. You need to implement it. We need to take a higher moral responsibility with respect to this. So responsible sourcing would differ from company to company. So as I said, if I could be getting my visiting cards from somewhere, some company, which is procuring it from recycled waste material, paper material. So I am becoming more environmental. I will score points for all of this, brownie points. So these kind of things has to come in. So about having a relationship with companies which adheres to all the environmental and statutory laws of the country. It's very important. If I am working with some company where child labor is entertained, or they do have child labor, is it the right thing on my part? Say I do have security or housekeeping, this thing. One of the bare minimum thing that we see is mention the age criteria. We get the max that we can do is we get their ID proofs and check for their age before they start with us and stuff. We also see the antecedent check by getting something called as a police verification certificate. Because for employees, generally, you do a antecedent check. You ask for references. You have agencies which will do the checks and get back and stuff. For your outsourced employees, this PVC, police verification certificates, are very important and stuff. So it's there. How we collaborate on all this and how we bring this is very important to, to reach the sustainable goals and stuff.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Meghna.
So guys, do we have any more questions? Yeah, any participants, any more question for Mr. Rajarajan? That's been really an interesting session.
Yeah, so just one question, like you talked about this design thinking concept, right? That you've also been taking, lectures and all that. Could you just elaborate a little bit on that? Like what
Okay, so see, in the design thinking aspects, the very important thing is design thinking is not a particular order. Okay, so if you generally Google for design thinking, you will have this edict framework, wherein you will see that it is more like a PDCA, but with an empathy concept added to it. But when you get into the journey of this thing, you have a framework on it. Okay, you can start a design thinking at any part. You can start at the very fag end where you get to the learning launch phase or a rapid prototyping phase. It's not that you need to start with the very first this thing. We have visualization as a meta tool. A lot of things are there. I would share the resources with you people if that is okay, because you need to get that framework right. When you look at that framework, everything would fall into place. And in that, I would have told about each framework, how you can get in. What is the kind of team that you want, or what is the kind of design thinkers you need to have, and how different is what is the difference between an MBA grad and a design thinker? Okay, what is an ethnographic research? Ethnography is another term that you would, it's very important term when you look at design thinking and stuff. What is the 5B techniques and stuff? What you bring, what you buy, those aspects are there. Then the napkin pitch, it's like the elevator pitch, the napkin pitch. So very many interesting concepts are there. Uh, Time is of essence. I can't say that in 4 5 minutes, but I'm ready to share the resources, the concise presentation with the team who has been in contacts with me, and they will be sharing it with you all.
Yes, sir. Thank you very much.
So any more questions?
No, I don't. I think we're done.
We're done. Okay, fine. So, sir, that was a very informative session on a personal note. So we really thank you so much for visiting us virtually and enlightening us with your knowledge. So now we have our Piyush sir. So sir will deliver the vote of thanks for you.
So thank you everyone, and thank you Mr. Rajarajan for coming over here. It was really nice listening to the sustainability. I mean, I've been planning to introduce as an elective in the course for long, but now I have found a way. So I have found you also to support me on that. Because somewhere, we have been talking about sustainability a lot on the manufacturing and other aspects. They have been talking about sustainability reports. They have been doing it. But in healthcare, I would say it's in a very, very nascent stage. It's very exciting to know that MGM has been doing so much on that perspective. Besides this, another interesting thing for me actually is also to know your association with Frost and Sullivan. So I've been there for a decade in the healthcare team. and they have been working a lot on these initiatives. So that's another important thing. And for students, it's actually the sustainability health initiatives are actually a big thing as of now. As Mr. Rajarajan also said that when anybody go for these initiatives, there are a lot of third-party tie-ups also being required. A lot of things have to be worked on. So it's a vast space which is unexplored. Many big venture capitalists, many funding startups are actually being funding these initiatives now. So I think now you have got the right channel. So anybody who is interested in working, I think Mr. Rajarajan would be a good person to be in touch with to get more guidance over that. So and that's it for us, sir. And thank you once again for coming on this portal. It was really, really interesting for all of us to listen to your experience. And I hope once things open up, I will definitely plan a visit to the center as well, to the hospital, along with the students, because we have this hospital planning module. So in that, because of COVID for 2 years, we have not been able to go out. But fortunately, let's be hopeful that this time things open up. So in that case, your hospital would be, I think, a best place for us to come and see and teach the students for that.
Thank you. Thank you very much for having me over.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
Thank you
Thanks
very
a
much.
lot.
Thank you again.
Thank you all.
Live question. Live quick response.